You smell what I smell? That's some pure bullshit.
What's up, motivators? Welcome back. It's Kevin, and this is Pure Bullfit. Now, today we're going to talk a little bit about perfect programs and guaranteed results and why I continue to feel that that is a problematic marketing strategy. How we can approach these programs intelligently even when they do work, evaluate them critically, and incorporate them in an effective way to make sure that we get the most out of them. And I've got an example that I'm bringing to you from AthleanX, their 22-day double your pull-up program. In addition to that, I want to share with you guys and announce that we are ready to take this from a part-time passion to a full-time mission, thanks to all the support in this community. We're going to be expanding our client base, serving more people with daily contact, tailorized programming, individual nutritional advice, and access to our app that will help you get closer to your goals, close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. We're launching our website, purebullfit.com. It's not going to be a comprehensive community hub like Every Damn Day Fitness or Massive Iron. Those guys have decided to move away from Facebook and serve their people better there. I still find Facebook perfectly acceptable for the community that we're trying to build and what we're trying to do. So there you can find individualized programming and consultations for folks who don't need coaching but need more individualized help than is available in the free resources, which continue to be free in that OneDrive down below. 10, 16, 12-week programs, recipes, nutritional advice, how-to guides. We're just trying to expand the number of ways that we can help you guys. I really appreciate all of the support that you have given me over this last year and a half. I couldn't have built a community so big, so fast without you, and I'm so grateful. But before we get into any of that, I want to address this video that many members of the community have reached out to me and asked me if I have a response to. Greg Doucette, apparently, in between all of his response videos to Abby Sharp. So Greg found time to make another video about AthleanX, and it was apparently in response to a video that somebody else entirely made about the content of AthleanX and made some assertions and statements based off of what they saw there, and Greg decided to argue with that. I have no interest in getting involved in that. Furthermore, unless you're listening to some third-tier content creator, you already know it's not my job to defend or bodyguard Jeff Cavaliere and AthleanX from everybody who has some constructive criticism of the man. That's not actually what we do around here. If you're familiar with this content, you already know criticism and critique is welcome, needed, and encouraged. Just don't be full of shit when you do it.
8 weeks or not. Why? Because I'm chasing clout. Because I know somebody's going to watch the video.
I will tell you that my feelings on the matter haven't changed from the last video we made on fake weight gate. I believe it is very likely, certainly possible, that those weights seen in the videos were fake. But I also believe, as one of the few people who spend any time around Jeff, that he's a lot stronger than people give him credit for, and he was capable of all of those lifts at the time of filming. You don't have to like those opinions. They haven't changed. I don't want to see those weights again. I don't think that they belong in instructional videos. That's just the way that I feel. But if that really gets your butt hurt and you're still mad about some videos that I made over a year ago, and I stand by all of those words, you can continue to light up my comments and include me in your little thumbnails if it makes you feel better. But the fact of the matter is my opinion has not changed, and I continue to support a community that has put out predominantly and overwhelmingly good information. There are people worth supporting, so I'm going to continue to do it. Be mad, bro. And that brings us to what we're going to talk about today, the apparent guaranteed results to double your pull-ups in just 22 days, a program put out by AthleanX a little over a month ago. I spent the 22 days doing the program. I've got my results. I'm going to share them. I'm going to share my thoughts with you. And while, spoiler alert, it was an effective program for doing what it said it was going to do in the video, I still think there are some considerations that everybody should take into account. And there's a learning moment here. There's a learning opportunity here. Now, this program, the title suggests that you're going to be able to double your pull-ups in just 22 days. But once you start watching the video, we dial back that guarantee to at least half again as many. So a 50% increase, possibly as much as double. And I got to tell you, as somebody who weighs 263 pounds, as someone who has a lot of experience as a Marine with pull-ups, I just did not find this practical, and I did not think that it was going to be possible. You see, it took me about 2 years to get to 20 pull-ups. When I was a Marine and weighed 219 pounds, the most I was allowed to weigh at my height. And as you'll see in the videos that I share here, ultimately the program did work. And I'm going to share with you the reasons why it worked, the complications, and the considerations that I think that you should take into account should you decide to try and do something like this or similar to it in the future with your own goals in mind. But first, I'm going to tell you how it was constructed. I've got a video link down below. If you want to go watch that video and get it straight from him, totally understand. But this is the rough breakdown. You've got 4 working days that you repeat for the entire 22 days. The last 2 days are test days. So you will repeat the same 4 days without a break consistently throughout. The first day is your test day, where you do a max set of pull-ups, wait 2 minutes, and then do 5 minutes straight of as many pull-ups as you possibly get. And that is your initial total, which will be important at the end. The second day, you do double the amount of max single set pull-ups you did on day 1, except as an accessory. So in this case, it was the chin-up. And then you do pull-ups equal to 140% of what you did on day 1 for that max set. Since I did 10 reps, what that meant was on day 2, I needed to do 20 total chin-ups and I needed to do 14 total pull-ups. Not going to failure, just getting the reps in for the volume. The third day we did the commando pull-up, which is not my favorite, wasn't great for my bar, wasn't great for my body. And then we did 50% more. So I did 15 total pull-ups on that third day. And on the fourth day, a dead hang as long as possible, and then 160%, or an additional 60% of the pull-ups that we did on that max set on day 1, so that was 16 pull-ups. The very following day, to day 4, you test again, just like you did day 1, and then you repeat day 2, 3, and 4, and you do this for 20 straight days. My first and biggest problem with that is there was no rest, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But as you're watching these videos here of what I did, I wanted to point something out. You'll see that my form is not perfect on these pull-ups, and this is why. Back in 2007, I believe, I tore the musculotendinous juncture between my deltoid and my lat severely. It's about where the teres major should be. And in this picture, you can see the massive chunk of muscle that's missing. This drastically affects the way that I perform pull-ups. I pull unevenly, and if I'm not careful, I will pull diagonally to the side. It also causes an intense amount of pain. So what I'm presenting to you here are not perfect pull-ups. They don't become perfect pull-ups over the course of this 20 days. Quite the opposite. I had a little more trouble with flexibility. I also have degenerative joint disease and tendonitis in my elbow, which makes it extremely painful and very likely that pull-ups are going to negatively affect the rest of my training. So what you see here is imperfect pull-ups, not to full extension, but consistent for the entire 20 days. Why that's important is you see the difference in total volume with the same form, and that demonstrates the increased work capacity, not whether or not each and every rep was perfect. I just accept that I'm not going to be able to do perfect pull-ups. I can squeak out a few at the end of each set, but it's really painful. The hard fact of the matter is that when you're working around physical disabilities, ailments, and injuries, you do the best you can with what you've got. That's how we operate around here. That's what I encourage people to do. Any slack-jawed, mouth-breathing wall toucher that tells you that you should ignore pain, ignore injuries for the sake of a full range of motion is an idiot. You know who you are. You know I'm talking to you. With all that said and out of the way, you take a look at my first day and my last day. On the first day, from this angle, you can see I get about 10 reasonably good form pull-ups. And on the last day, I get 17 not as good form pull-ups. And why is that? Because I was sore as fuck. After 20 straight days of doing this, my lats were sore, the tendons in my arms and my elbows were inflamed, and it was just too much volume for the issues that I have. But I wanted to do the program exactly as it was put together and instructed. Did I have to do it over 22 days? No, I could have stretched this over 30 and it would have been just as effective. I could have given myself 8 days of rest in there to recover a little bit better. But if you want to test a program, if I'm going to test a program and then present the results to you, I've got to do it exactly as written, or some schmuck on the internet is going to be like, well, no, you had 8 days, so Jeff doesn't know what he's talking about because you took rest days. Whatever. So we did it exactly as it was prescribed. And I saw this increase. But I really didn't like how those reps looked. I knew that they were a couple of inches shy of the range of motion that I'm capable of. So I waited until 2 or 3 days after that final test out day, where I saw a 70% increase. And then I tried it again. And I got 16 reps. Now these repetitions are more consistent with the range of motion that you see on day 1 and demonstrate about a 60% increase, which is above what's guaranteed in the program of 50% or more. Is this because I adhered to a magic protocol of 22 days and no days off? No, this program worked because it was based off of three very fundamental and basic principles of exercise physiology: specificity, volume, and frequency. When you do a specific demand on your body, when you perform something specific, consistently, your body has to adapt to it. The closer it is to the thing that you want to get better at, i.e. doing pull-ups to get better at pull-ups, the more acute the adaptation to that specific demand is. If you want to get better at the bench press, you do more bench press. If you want to get better at running, you run. Now, are there things with carryover that can assist? Absolutely. Consistency, as in frequency, how often you perform a movement, also has neural adaptations associated with it, also makes you better at the movement, and volume within your ability to recover from that volume also determines. These are all super basic. These are all very basic principles that anybody with a CPT learns about. Is it science? Yes. Is it deep science? No. So it's more likely to work because it's simple, it's fundamental, and it's ubiquitous without all styles of training. Frequency, specificity, and volume. You get those three things, you're gonna get better at what you're trying to do. Now, I was incredibly sore. I was unreasonably sore. And were I to want to incorporate this style of training again in the future to get better at a specific thing, I would absolutely incorporate rest days, because I firmly believe that stress, that resistance without an opportunity to recover, is just damage. Now this is short, in the short term. Is anybody gonna hurt themselves doing this? I really don't think so. I don't think it's an unreasonable amount of volume. And if you start to find that you just can't complete the repetitions that have been suggested to you, you don't reach it. You've reached accumulated fatigue and you should probably scale back. So does it work, and do programs that are based off of these three principles work? Yes. Is this the best way for you to incorporate getting better at pull-ups or push-ups or the bench press or squat or deadlift? Well, not necessarily. You see, when we take something like this, we have to take into account our physical limitations, our individual morphology, our condition, our training capacity, our recoverable volume, all the things that we know about ourselves that are individual to us and our circumstances, and then be willing to make adjustments based off of it. I don't care who it's from. I don't care if it's from me. Do not take what anyone says at face value without evaluating it for its applicability to you and its truth, and whether or not it is resistant to scrutiny. If it stands up to scrutiny and it is applicable to you, give it a shot. But never do it, never go in blind. Never just accept what people say at face value. If you are doing that, you're more likely to be misled. You're more likely to get caught up in the dogma of thinking that 5 reps is magic and the solution to all of your problems. Or hell, you might even fall victim to V-Shreds and his 5 secret foods that will turn you into a fat-burning machine bullshit. Look guys, everything should be evaluated. We shouldn't accept anything at face value. We should be informed enough to say, does this apply to me? Does this stand up to scrutiny? Does this make sense for me? And if it doesn't, how can I make it make sense for me? Even when it's from sources that we trust. Be willing to try new things, be willing to incorporate new things, because there is no program that is optimal for everyone, and there are very few things that are suboptimal for everyone. We gotta be willing to do the work, or we're not really willing to make the progress. If you're not willing to prioritize your sleep, your nutrition, your training methodologies, question things when they're not working, question things when they sound too good to be true, then you don't really have what it takes to realize your goals. So is this program perfect? No, I don't think so. Is it guaranteed? I don't think so either. But is it effective? Yeah, I think we've demonstrated that it can be. I think that if you're going to incorporate it, you should take an honest look of how you should best do that in your life. I had to replace all of my accessory work from my back days with the pull-ups, or else it would have been too much volume. If I were to do it again, I would go ahead and add those 8 days, those rest days, and do it over 30 days instead of 22, because there is nothing magic or scientific about 22 days. It's just catchy. Alliteration catches people's attention. Can it work for you? Absolutely, it worked for a lot of people. If you check out the comment section in the video, it worked for a ton of people. But if you're like me and you've got some physical disabilities, drawbacks, and obstacles that you have to work around, doing programs like this at face value probably isn't the best decision for you. You have to be intelligent, you have to make your own decisions, you have to think critically. All right guys, that's it. That's the video for today. You've heard enough from me. This probably went on a little longer than I intended it to. It was supposed to be a short video. If you liked the video, go ahead and let me know by smashing that like button. If you didn't, they got a button for that too. Either way, leave a comment below. I appreciate each and every one of you. Until I see you guys again in the next video, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, go fit yourself.